Hey guys, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Iron Banner matchmaking. Now, Iron Banner by its very nature is more prone to magnified differences in skill between teams. It's more objective based than the normal control game mode due to the ability to lock down zones, and it also has light advantages enabled. Both of these things tend to favor players with higher skill. As a result, we should expect to see more games in which one team wipes the floor with the other. However, I, as well as a number of other players in the community, have gotten the sense that this is happening significantly more often than it should be. I've always believed that Bungie has in place some sort of team balancing algorithm instead of just randomly scrambling the 12 players in a match to form two teams. However, recently, I have begun to question this. I decided to investigate this by doing a very basic analysis of my own games. This week I've played just under 40 games of Iron Banner. I recorded in a spreadsheet the scores of each of these matches as well as the chances of either team winning. I don't want to bore you with the math behind this, so I'll include a brief explanation in the comments, but for the rest of you, I'll just cut to the chase. In the average Iron Banner game, one team is 2.31 times more likely to win than the other team. And the average score of an Iron Banner game is 125 to 67. Keep in mind in doing this analysis, I factored out outliers such as 6-man stomping teams. This is just your typical game that we're talking about. So, what does this mean? Well, like I said earlier, Iron Banner naturally magnifies the skill differences between teams. However, we definitely shouldn't be seeing such dramatic team imbalances if this is the only factor. The only other key factor that would make such imbalances possible is Bungie's team balancing algorithm. Now, there are three scenarios with this algorithm. First, Bungie might just not have an algorithm in the first place. Destiny is not a very competitive game. The sandbox is just too complex and too difficult to balance. I think that a lot of the allure of Destiny's PvP comes from its power fantasy. Sometimes it just feels really good to stomp on the other team. Perhaps Bungie believes that a PvP environment in which teams are almost always perfectly balanced would get stale quickly. The second scenario is that Bungie has an algorithm, but it's intentionally designed to allow some team imbalance. The rationale for this is the same as the prior scenario. The third scenario is that Bungie's algorithm uses incomplete data to assign people to teams. For instance, one metric that we know Bungie uses is called combat rating. I don't know the actual formula behind it, but it seems like it's very strongly based on win percentage, which comes with a whole slew of issues. It's a terrible indicator of individual skill because Destiny is a team game. It's also terrible at measuring current levels of skill in players that have dramatically improved at the game. Now, I expect Bungie hired professionals who deal with data analytics on a regular basis to do this, so I doubt that this third scenario is the case, but you never know. Now, quite honestly, if I were in charge of the team forming algorithms for Destiny, I would first make sure that a number of metrics are being factored into team assignment. Things like quarterly KD ratio, elo ratings, performance on different characters, win percentages, and others would all be invaluable at precisely assessing the skill of individual players. I would also like to see some room left for team imbalance, but not the kind of imbalance that we're seeing right now. What I mentioned earlier about Destiny's PvP thriving off of a little bit of chaos and power imbalance is something that I actually very strongly agree with, at least in the non-competitive 6v6 game modes. I don't think anyone wants to be sweating their butt off in quick play PvP during every game. This also brings up another discussion of whether we should configure matchmaking to skill, network connection, or a combination of the two. In the current state of things, quick play PvP is extremely enjoyable for high-skill players, but I've heard from a number of people in the casual player base that they're having a very difficult time enjoying themselves in the Crucible with connection-based matchmaking. Personally, I'm convinced that we need some combination of skill-based and connection-based matchmaking to keep things at an enjoyable level for all players. But then we would also have to strike the right balance between skill prioritization and connection prioritization. I think it could be found with some analytics on Bungie's end, but I lack the access to the necessary data. What does pique my curiosity a little bit is that the Iron Banner playlist node shows that matchmaking prefers similar skill at the moment. Perhaps I just haven't been observant enough, but I thought that matchmaking was made entirely connection-based for Iron Banner. Is this a new addition? I'm not sure. Someone let me know in the comments. Anyway, I'm curious about this matchmaking because I still find myself being put into lobbies with low lag where I top the leaderboard pretty consistently. Scrolling through Destiny Tracker, I find that my teammates' elo ratings are typically at a very average level as well. My assumption is that this implies that some combination of skill-based and connection-based matchmaking is taking place, but I'm curious to see just how pronounced the skill portion of the matchmaking is because I haven't really noticed a difference. Maybe some of you are a bit more observant than I am and have noticed a change yourselves, and if so, once again, leave your thoughts down in the comments. Maybe now I should mention that although I do see much room for improvement in the matchmaking systems of Iron Banner, I'm still quite satisfied with the event as a whole. It provides an opportunity for a lot of solid loot, and it attracts a lot more people to the PvP scene, which is good for the Crucible community as a whole. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Iron Banner and its matchmaking system. I hope you enjoyed. As always, Guardians, stay safe, and I hope to see you in the Crucible.